was like punching me and attacking me on my face. So there I am, trapped.
You had a girl fight.
Yeah, but they broke my nose, and I'm not happy with that.
This is Judge Judy. 23-year-old Sylvia Marino is suing her stepsisters, 21-year-old Julie Munoz and 18-year-old Clara Munoz, for assaulting her and breaking her nose.
Judge, this is case number 39 on the calendar in the matter of Moreno versus Munoz. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Marino, how long has your father been living with the defendant's mother?
As soon as my mom got pregnant, that's when she got out of the house. So like a month later, that's when their mom moved in, and my sisters are now 6 years old. So I want to say 6 years old.
Okay. And is your father married to the defendant's mother?
No.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it also correct that your mom moved in about 6 years ago?
Yes.
Had you known the defendant's mom before they moved in?
Did I know her before she moved in? I'm not too sure. No, I don't think so.
Julie, before your mom moved in with Mr. Moreno, did you know him?
Yes.
How?
He started coming around the house probably 2 months within dating. So...
Lived in the house with Mr. Moreno for 6 years?
No. I recently moved in the end of December of 2019.
Where were you living before?
At a friend's house.
And what about your sister?
She had lived with them for the amount of 6 years.
Is that right?
Yes.
So you lived with your mom when she moved in to Mr. Moreno's house?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get along with his daughter?
I didn't really see her much around time when I moved in because she lived with her mother and I lived there. So I would probably see them around once every week.
So you've been constantly living there with your mom and with Mr. Moreno?
Yes.
And Miss Marino, she wasn't in the house.
No.
She was living with her mother.
Yes.
Is that right, Miss Marino?
Yes.
Now, you came home to stay with your father when?
July of
Just
last year.
give me a month and year.
July of last year.
And at that time, Claire was living there?
Yes.
And Julie was not living there because Julie didn't come until December. Is that right, Julie?
Yes.
Yeah, well, she was living there at one point, and then she got kicked out because she was offering her little sister, weed and bought her an edible or whatever. So that's why she got kicked out. So recently she moved back in, a little after I moved in. I want to say a month after.
Your
Well,
Honor,
sounds
that's
like
not correct.
About you and both Julie and Claire got into some sort of a kerfuffle. You got into a kerfuffle on the 30th of July, 2020. So you had been living there for about a year.
Yes.
I'd like you to tell me briefly your version of what happened, because you're suing them both for an assault and for injuries that you sustained. You sustained a broken nose. The defendants are suing you on a counterclaim for falsely filing a protective order on which there was a trial on the same incident as this. Is that right?
Correct.
And that trial resulted in the protective order that you filed against the two of them to exclude them from the house being dismissed.
Yeah, it got denied.
Judge heard evidence, heard you, heard the defendants, heard from your boyfriend, and the judge dismissed the case.
Right.
So now you have 2 minutes to tell me what happened, and then I'm going to tell you what the law is. Go.
Okay, so recently we've been having arguments and stuff, but the last one, that's where it got
No,
very
I don't want to
intense.
hear recently. I just want you to stick to July 30th.
I basically got lowered out of my room. I got a text message from Clara saying that I had got a package, and so I responded saying thank you. And so when I got out, I asked her, I was like, hey.
Got out of your room?
Yes. And they were in the living room, both of them. So then I got out, and I was like, hey, so where's... And I'm like, well, I'm here. And then she's like, oh, good.
Who is she?
Clara.
Claire.
Yes. And then she starts assuming that I was stealing her wine and saying that I took it, whatever, and that I had to pay her back and that I owe her the bottle and whatever. And I was like, well, I didn't take it. And then, so yeah, we started arguing about that. And then Clara just goes, just go back to your room. Go back to your room, because she has some type of authority over me. And I'm like, this is my house. I can do whatever I want. And then she's like, hi, it's your house. Okay, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's my house. She starts laughing, starts acting ghetto. I didn't even want to go to the bathroom because I had to pass by them.
Look here. No, just a second. So she told you to go back to the room.
Mm-hmm. And then...
And you said, you can't tell me. I live here. Slowly. And don't look away from me. Look right here. Right in my eyes.
Yeah.
Good. So she told you to go back to the room. You said no.
Right.
And?
And then I was like, well, this is my house.
Try to use no like. Try not to use the word like.
Okay. So I was like, this is my house. I get to do whatever I want. So then I had to use a bathroom. So I had to pass by them to use a bathroom. So I just didn't want to be near her. Like, I just felt very, like, because she caught me off guard.
Just
like,
tell me.
And then so I went to the...
Tell me what happened. So you had to go to the bathroom, and...
And then so I went upstairs, and then... oh, no, I didn't go to the... And she starts, like...
Well, you were in the living room already.
Yeah. And then she starts acting like all ghetto, saying... I was like, what is it with you guys? Like, you guys... Like, why is it that you guys are always messing with me? Like, you guys don't have a life? Like, can you guys just please leave me alone? And then Clara just goes like... What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Do something, do something. Like, and then so I was like, I'm not scared of you, I'm not scared of you. So then she starts throwing punches. So then I was defending myself by fighting back.
So just a second. So what you're telling me is Claire punched you.
Yes.
Okay, so she got close enough to you to punch you.
Yeah.
How many times did she punch you and where?
I'm not sure how many times. It was just like, you know, it was just all very fast and on my face. So then at that point, I was very like vulnerable. So Julie got up. She's like, oh, you're not going to hit my little sister? So then she goes the other side.
Just a second. Well, Julie said you're not going to hit my little sister. Had you hit her little sister?
Because I was like defending myself. So that's why she was saying that.
Okay, well, that's not a like. That's a yes. So
Yes.
She hit you and then you hit her.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And then Julie came around me, like on my right side, and then she starts like punching me and attacking me on my face. So there I am, you know, trapped, and I was trying to get up, but I couldn't get up because I was basically trapped. I was
Trying
pinned down.
to get up, had you...
Because
just
I was
a second.
sitting down already.
It can't be both.
No, I was...
So you were sitting down talking to them.
Yes.
So when you were talking to the two of them, you were sitting down.
Yes.
Were they sitting down?
Yes.
So Claire had to have moved
Yeah.
to punch you.
So she kind of like halfway got up, like halfway stood
Okay.
up, like kind of like...
Enough. Yeah, I'm done. Okay, Claire,
Yes.
3 minutes. Your version of the events of the 30th of July. Go.
So I sent a message saying that she...
To get her out of the room because somebody took your wine.
Yes. So I sent her that message, and she was telling me that she didn't do it, and I was like, I knew for a fact that she was lying, so I didn't want to deal with her attitude, so I just said, forget it. Like, all I wanted was the gift back. I didn't care if she drank it. I didn't care if she did anything to it. I just wanted the bottle back itself because it was an expensive gift given to me by my sister. So I let her go, and then she confronted us again, and she sat down about like 2 feet away from me, and she was telling me, what is your problems? Like, you guys always talk to me, like, you guys have so much problems with us. And I immediately got very defensive, and I was like, we did nothing wrong. After we were arguing for a while, I told her to shut up. Like, I didn't want to deal with her problems anymore. So I told her to shut up, go to her room, and she said, you can shut me up. You can't, I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to talk all I want. And I was like, just shut up. Like, and she's like, and I was like, all right, like, you're not going to do anything about it? Like, you can shut up. And she got up after a while of us telling to shut up. So I got up. She took a step towards me, and I took a step towards her. And I got in her face, telling her, like, to shut up, go to your room, like, you...
That is
I don't know what your problem is.
Down.
Over time, after the argument, she hit me in my face, and then I started hitting her back. And that was when my sister intervened.
Okay.
And at that
Very
point,
good.
my boyfriend had split us up.
What?
At that point, my boyfriend had split
Your
us up.
boyfriend?
Yeah, my witness.
Good. Very good. Now, I don't need your witness because your witness was also there. You filed for a protective order against them. You wanted them excluded from the house, right?
Right. Because that's what I was
Judge
told
heard
by
the
the cops.
case. Okay, what you were told by the cop? It's not your house. It's your father's house.
Right.
You can leave, but which you did, and the girls. You're still living there. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Your father gets to decide who lives in his house and who doesn't.
And later today,
Girls aren't supposed to know about things like air conditioning and plumbing and heating. You know, that's usually not something girls know about. But I'll tell you what this girl knows about: wine. And I know about people who put air conditioning units in a wine cellar and pass it off as a refrigerant. Do you understand?
Sylvia Marino claims stepsisters Julie and Clara Munoz broke her nose during an assault. The defendants are countersuing, for a false restraining order.
The judge heard your case for an order of protection. The order of protection, among other things, in addition to asking them to be removed from the house, which nobody's going to grant,
Right.
it would have said that they cannot assault, menace, threaten, or harass you. The judge heard your evidence by the same burden of proof, if not higher, than the burden of proof that exists in small claims court. And after hearing all the evidence, just like I did, the judge in that case dismissed the case, having heard all of the facts. I can actually understand why. You had a girl fight, and that's what happened. And I assume that your father asked you to leave.
No, that is not correct.
When did you leave the house? This happened on July 30th. On what date?
I left the house on 2nd.
So you lived there in the month of August.
Yes, because I had nowhere to go.
Where did you finally go to?
A room. I was looking, when it happened on July 31st. At that time, I was just looking already at a different, room and stuff, because I just couldn't live there.
Okay.
It was just too much.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing for your father. Your father doesn't need aggravation from 3 girls who clearly don't get along. How old is your father?
Like 44,
Do you know?
45, around there, I believe.
Nice, caring. Okay, I've heard enough. Very nice. You have a nice place to live now? Are you happy in your room?
Well, yeah,
You're
but
happy not being near them?
Yeah, but they broke my nose, and
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that.
Oh, no, I'm not happy with that either. You shouldn't have had a fight with them. I, like the judge who heard this case before, isn't sure who started it. That's why the judge dismissed the application for an order of protection.
Yes, I have.
So, and I'm doing the same. I'm doing the same. We're finished. We're done. Case is over. It's dismissed. So is your counterclaim. Goodbye.
This case is completed. You're excused.
I just feel like this whole thing is so unfair.
It started off a misunderstanding and it ended up leading to anger, and
The owner of the house, which is my dad.
anger that was already built up between her
How's he gonna let this, happen?
between her and then us.
I'm their daughter. They broke my nose. It just can't stay like
It just blew up.
And he still chose their mom. He still chose them.
It's not that he chose us over his own daughter.
How can you choose? How can you forget about your daughter?
It's the fact that she came with a lot of problems.
I just wanted justice for myself because he didn't care. He didn't do anything.
I'm ready to put it way behind.
Nothing. I'm already out.
All parties in the matter of Bynum versus McCormick. Step to the podium, please.
Donald Bynum is suing contractor Gary McCormick for the return of a deposit on a wine room he never built.
Mr. Bynum, you had done previous business with Mr. McCormick as a contractor.
That is correct, Your Honor.
What kind of work had Mr. McCormick done for you previously?
My brother and I had a rental home. We hired Gary to refinish the entire insides of the house, essentially, and make it ready.
And you were satisfied?
We were.
And then you decided in your own home to put in a wine cellar.
That's correct.
And that was in June of 2019.
Correct.
And according to what I put together from both the complaint and the answer, you contacted the defendant. He came over and took a look at it, gave you a price, and you gave him some money to start the project.
That is correct. We kind of designed it together, and then he asked for a deposit to order materials.
How much of a deposit did you give him?
$70.
In the $7,300.
I had the check copy, if you'd like to see. It was September 9th of 2019.
Suffice it to say, you don't have a wine cellar.
I do not.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He doesn't have a paid receipt for starting the project or a contract. He has a check. What's the total job?
Are you crazy, Mr. McCormick? He has a check that he gave you as a deposit. What kind of stupid defense is that, sir?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donald Bynum is suing contractor Gary McCormick for the return of a deposit on a wine room he never built.
Mr. McCormick, what did you do in September, October, November, December, January, and February? That's 6 months. You now have his $7,300.
Yes, I do.
Tell me what specifically you did to accomplish creating a wine cellar for the plaintiff.
I didn't get into the attic and look at what we really had to put in there, so I ordered a unit that was pretty standard to what I thought would fit for that room size. And it's a very custom application.
What date did you place an order for this unit?
End of September, in that unit.
Okay, because you made a mistake and it was the wrong unit.
Yes. So in October, November, I brought a friend over that does air conditioning, and I asked him if he could come over and take a look and get in the attic. I've had some previous health issues with some respiratory problems, so I don't get in attics anymore. He came over. The access was really, really tight. So we changed the unit configuration, and I kind of made it overkill because I knew I did not want a phone call after this was put in that it's not cooling to my satisfaction. So we went way over.
When was the last time, Mr. McCormick, you built or GC'd on a wine cellar?
Oh, it's probably
When was the last time?
Probably 10 years.
Yeah, I can tell that, sir, because you don't get somebody who does air conditioning to come in to do a wine cellar.
No, I just brought him in to
Air conditioning people don't make wine cellars. Air conditioning people do air conditioning. There are specialists who do wine cellars. It's a different kind of refrigerant.
Completely different. Yes.
Yes, completely different. So, you know, girls aren't supposed to know about things like, you know, air conditioning and plumbing and heating. You know, that's usually not something girls know about. But I'll tell you what this girl knows about: wine. and I also know about wine cellars. And I know in a wine cellar and pass it off as a refrigerant. Do you understand?
I would have never done that.
So let's be clear. Let's be clear about that. So this is what you're going to have to prove to me, because now you have his money since September, and you made a mistake in September. You made a mistake in October. You maybe made a mistake in November. You had some health issues, also not his problem and not his fault. Right now, we're in March. He doesn't have a wine cellar, and I don't know how much of the $7,300 you gave him back. How much?
None.
So you had 6 months to get the ball rolling on this and did nothing, as far as I can tell.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Now, do you have a paid invoice for anything that you purchased for his wine cellar?
No, I do not.
Well, then what are your damages, sir?
My damages for the glass and the unit are $9,200.
Just to say, well, I'm asking you, show me that you paid for a unit. You knew today, you're an intelligent man. You knew you were coming to court today. So if you had paid for it, it's over.
I don't have a paid bill
if you
because
didn't bring it,
I work with these suppliers like I do myself. He doesn't have a paid receipt for starting the project or a contract on the job.
No, he has a check. Of course he has a...
He has a check. What's the total,
crazy,
what's the total job?
Are you crazy, Mr. McCormick? He has a check that he gave you as a deposit. What kind of stupid defense is that, sir? Now, if you extended yourself and your company to purchase something for his wine cellar prior to his saying, I don't want to do this because it's 6-8 months later and it's not going to get done, I certainly would have sympathy for that. And I would say, listen, if he's got this item that he paid for and that he's got sitting there, you have to go through with this because you don't have a contract that says time is of the essence. So I would assume, sir, that you're full of baloney when you say you paid for anything.
No, I paid for it all.
Mr. McCormick, just show me a paid bill.
I cannot show you.
All right, then you owe him $5,000 because it's the maximum of what I can give him here. We're done. Bad business, Mr. McCormick. Thank you.
Case concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy, terror on two wheels?
Ooh, zipping right along. That's frightening. The scooter flipped in the air and hit his car.
Next Judge Judy.
I did get to move on.
They were asking for the material or the money.
And I can get another contractor to come finish up or if you can give me the parts.
So obviously they're backing out of the project.
And he just wouldn't respond.
It's a friendship too. I mean, all my customers are friends, so it's a tough deal.
Well, I did feel like we were friends, but this isn't how you treat a friend.
I've had them since they were puppies. Nothing like this ever happened.
But it did happen.
On social media, she spread lies after lies after lies, calling my dogs murderers.
She called them a murderer, and you wound up thinking about that. Are you just telling me you would be upset?
I don't deny her feelings. I deny the way she has gone on about it. It's ridiculous.
Your dogs weren't killed, sir.
This is Judge Judy. Sarah Gordon is suing her neighbor, Michael Roston, for vet bills. after his pit bulls attacked and killed her dog.
Judge, this is case number 56 on the calendar in the matter of Gordon versus Roston. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Thank you, Bird. Bird, would you do me a favor, please, and escort the defendant's girlfriend out of the courtroom for a moment?
Sure.
I'd like meetings for now.
That way.
Great. Mr. and Mrs. Gordon, you live in the same general vicinity where Mr. Roston lives.
Yes.
I assume, since you were walking your dog, and according to you, Mr. Roston's girlfriend, the young woman who I just had escorted out of the courtroom, I assume that was the girlfriend who was walking the dog, sir?
Yes.
So I assume that you live in the same neighborhood. On August 7th of this year, you were walking your Chihuahua.
Yes.
And I know a little bit about dogs. A fat one weighs, I don't know, 12 pounds. How big was yours?
She weighed about 16 pounds.
So a fat Chihuahua.
Well, she's a Chihuahua Terrier, yes. She was kind of hefty.
And Mr. Roston has two adult, I assume they are adult, pit bulls.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they weigh each probably about 50 or 60 pounds?
Upwards of 60, both of them, probably.
How long have you had the two pit bulls, sir?
All of their lives. The mother is 8 years old, and the daughter is 4.
So they are 8 and 4?
Correct.
And so you had the 4-year-old as a puppy and as a newborn, and
yes.
The 8-year-old came to you when?
3 months, maybe. 2.5, 3 months old.
Do you own your own home or rent your house, sir?
I rent.
A house or an apartment?
It's an apartment. It's a granny flat above the garages in the back half of the property. Doing work to the property, and I'm supposed to be getting paid for it as part of the work, for the work that I've done.
So you're not paying rent? When
No.
did you stop paying rent?
I've never been paying rent on the property. I was hired. There was some issues between two siblings.
How long have you been living on the property?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, this is what your case is about. On the 7th of August, you were walking your dogs, according to you, and you'll tell me the story. Mr. Roston's girlfriend, the one who just left the courtroom, I don't know whether you saw her walking the two pit bulls, but according to you, she lost control of them.
Yes.
They attacked your dog, and your dog was seriously injured. Took her to the vet that performed emergency surgery.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they could not save her.
Yes, she passed away in the hospital 2 days after I believe it was 2 surgeries.
Okay. Mr. Roston wasn't there, so he can't tell me what happened. That's why I'm going to bring his girlfriend in later after I get some information from him. He has a counterclaim, and his counterclaim is that you worked on having declared his dogs a nuisance. They were declared by whom to be a nuisance?
The San Diego County Humane Society.
Did you have an opportunity to appear at a hearing?
Yes.
And after the hearing, they declared your dogs a nuisance?
Yes.
Well, nothing to do with me. Your dogs, they were declared a nuisance after a hearing. You had the right to testify. That's not something that I'm going to overturn. And the other part is that you had to get more insurance if you wanted to keep the dogs, because now the dogs were declared a nuisance and you have to muzzle them when you walk them. And you also had to get additional insurance. What kind of insurance did you have to get in order to keep them?
It's a renter's liability insurance.
Absolutely correct. And you do know, sir, that there are certain dogs that insurance companies will not insure if either renters or owners have those dogs, period. So you have to pay a premium. You had to pay a premium in order to keep your dogs.
I do know that. I do know that
and
now.
And show the county, well, listen, Mr. Roston, you know, it's no secret that, for me, I know that there are certain breeds of dogs, and the country knows, because it's been so well publicized, that there are certain breeds of dogs that insurance companies have declared to be inherently dangerous. I don't have to name them all, but the breed of dog that you chose to get is among that group. And if you choose to have a dog like that, and if the dog has at least one incident, then the county is going to say, we're not going to take a chance and wait until, instead of a bark, what these dogs are capable, not always do, but are capable of doing. So you choose to have those dogs. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim. The county declared your dogs a nuisance. You had a hearing, period.
The county declared my dogs a public nuisance because this woman on social media, on social media, she spread lies after lies after lies. Calling my dogs murderers and, okay,
sir,
that's okay to do?
You had a hearing. You had a hearing.
And you know,
you had a hearing.
I had a hearing, and Your Honor, the reason that they declared my dogs a public nuisance was not because of the action or the event on August 7th, but because of all the social media that she incited, that she got pumped up and asked her friends to call the Humane Society, call them and call them and call them and call them, send emails, take pictures, follow these guys around, even though I'm not doing anything wrong. Okay, my dog's 8 years old and 4 years old. I've had them since they were puppies. And I am adamant about making sure that my dogs never get off the leash, never get off the harness. Nothing like this ever happened.
But they did.
Yes,
right,
they did.
Mr. Rustin, but look at me, sir. Look at me, sir. But they did. They did.
We'd be walking
Just
the
a
dog
second.
player, so that was...
But Mr. Rustin, Mr. Rustin, it's not to argue with me. I'm telling you, you didn't intend for it to happen. Your girlfriend never intended for it to happen, but it did happen. Now, I want you to think, and as you said to me, she'll never walk the dogs again. That's what you said.
That's correct.
Right? So
Absolutely.
You know now that that is a potential hazard because you have very strong dogs and your girlfriend wasn't able to control them for a minute. And during that minute, the dog created a situation which caused the death of her pet. Now, I want you to think about this, sir. I want you to think about you walking your dogs, and your dogs were on a leash crossing the street. A 16-year-old who wasn't supposed to be driving ran a red light, hit your dogs. You took them to the vet because you love them. They operated on them. They couldn't save them. How angry would you be?
I would be very upset.
I would be very
upset.
Before you see how you welled up a moment ago when you were talking about your dogs and what she called them a murderer. So and you welled up thinking about that. And so I'm asking you that question.
I would be very upset.
With somebody who ran,
I would grieve. I don't deny her feelings.
Everybody,
I deny the way she has gone on about it. It's ridiculous.
Well, you say it's ridiculous. I'm telling you that I don't know what somebody who wells up thinking about their dogs being declared a nuisance as opposed to somebody who witnessed their dog being killed. I don't know how that person would react to somebody who negligently went through a stop sign and killed the dogs that you've had since puppies, that you clearly adore. And that you clearly said to me, my girlfriend will never walk those dogs again. And for that, I respect you more than the answer that you gave me, which is why I put the girlfriend outside.
So,
because when we come inside, she's going to give me a whole different story. That's why I put her. I just knew it. So
now, can I ask you?
Go ahead.
Do you think that if this 16-year-old kid ran a stop sign, that I would not be satisfied with him not having his license any further? Or do you think that I would go? I have no
idea. I have no idea.
Killed because he killed my dogs.
I have no idea. Your dogs weren't killed, sir. Your dogs weren't killed. And in order to keep them, it's going to cost you money so that we're sure as a community that your girlfriend doesn't walk those dogs again. Now, Bird, would you bring in the girlfriend? Because we know what happened. You're walking the Chihuahua. The dogs got away from the girlfriend. That's what he said because that's what his girlfriend told him. Now we're going to hear what she has to say. And, sir, I would like you to sit down.
No problem.
I would like you to sit down. Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do not know if her dog had their leash on. I know that his too, they absolutely had their harnesses on.
Is what you're telling me, that's what you told you? I want you to tell me, your boyfriend told me a different story.
And later today.
You called them and said, my floor's buckled because of the leaky refrigerator, and I want you to pay $3,700 to fix them. And what did the company say to you?
They said they're not liable.
That's absolutely right.
Sarah Gordon says 2 pit bulls owned by neighbor Michael Roston attacked and killed her Chihuahua. Michael is countersuing for slander.
Whitney Falk, F-A-L-K.
Miss Falk, I want you to tell me your version of what happened on August 7th this year when you were walking your boyfriend's 2 dogs.
Okay. I put their harnesses on. I walked them up to the top of the alley. It's very, very dark up there. There's no street lights. I was going to cross the street and go up the alley, continue on up the alley. I changed my mind. I turned left onto the sidewalk, and at the time there was a large Econovan parked as close to the entrance of the alley as possible, and then there's a small dirt strip. So when I turned left, the girls stopped and we were sniffing around, and I was behind the van, so I couldn't see anyone. And we're all looking to the left. I heard a noise to my right, and it startled all 3 of us, the girls and I. And
the girls, you're talking about the dogs?
Yes, yes.
So you heard a noise.
I heard a noise. I didn't see anyone.
And
then
okay.
All I know is that her dog and our dogs met in mutual combat, and that's pretty much all I could see, because after that, once I realized
so what you're telling me is, your boyfriend's dogs, which each weighs 60 pounds, were engaged in mutual combat with a Chihuahua, and that all 3 dogs had their leashes on.
I do not know if her dog had their leash on. I know that my 2, or his 2, they absolutely had their harnesses on, without a doubt.
Harnesses and their leashes on?
Yes.
Yes.
They both had...
Is what you're just a second. Is what you're telling me, that's what you told you? I want you to tell me, your boyfriend told me a different story.
Huh, really?
I want you to tell me, your boyfriend told me a different story. He said, which he must have gotten from you because he wasn't there, that the dogs got away from you, and that's why you'll never walk the dogs again.
I never said they weren't on leashes with harnesses.
They were on leashes.
He said the dogs got away. Okay. We're done. We're done.
Ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're finished. Over.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
She's campaigning for that. That's her ultimate goal, to have my dogs put to sleep.
I don't want his dogs to be put down. I never said that. I just want them walked with muzzles.
The incident that happened, that was what's called an accident.
I don't want any other dogs to be murdered again by pit bulls in the neighborhood.
All parties in the matter of battle.
Sean Badian is suing appliance repairman Andrew Coverage for damage to his floors caused by a leaky refrigerator.
Mr. Badian.
Yes, Your Honor.
In a nutshell, this is what your case is. You have a home, and you have a company that you pay an annual contract to take care of all of your electrical appliances.
Yes, Your Honor.
I have the same kind of company. You pay them a set fee. It's very expensive, and you can call them any day, 24/7, and tell them I have a problem with my air conditioning, with my stove, with my refrigerator, with my ice maker, and they send a technician.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were having a problem with the refrigerator. You called the company that you were dealing with, and the company sent the defendant to fix your leaky refrigerator. He had to come back 2 different times. He fixed 1 leak. It continued to leak. He came back, or he or somebody who worked for him came back again, fixed the 2nd leak. But during that period of time, your floors were damaged underneath the refrigerator from the leaks. And you want the defendant, who was sent by the company that you employ, to pay $3,700 for new floors. That's your case, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, quality.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You show me a paid bill that you paid to the defendant.
I don't have one.
Of course not, because your contract is with Worldwide Services. You had no contract with him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sean Badian says appliance repairman Andrew Coverage is responsible for damaging his floors.
Now, how long have you had this company that you pay for annually?
On and off around 18 years.
Okay. Are you a businessman, sir?
Yes.
What kind of business are you in?
IT, computers.
Is it your own business?
Yes, and my wife's.
Do you have business insurance?
Yes.
Because you need insurance. So I'd assume, Mr. Badian, when you, some 18 years ago, started to do business with this company that you employ, let's call them Worldwide Safety. I don't want to name them. you determined that Worldwide Safety was a reputable business and that they carry insurance.
Yes.
I did that. When I employed my company, I made sure that they had sufficient insurance in case they did any damage to any of my property, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to assume floors in your home were damaged because your refrigerator leaked.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you also have homeowners insurance?
Right now, no.
Did you have homeowners insurance when there was a leak in your refrigerator?
No.
Because you do know that that's what homeowners insurance is for.
Yes.
So let us assume that the leaky refrigerator, which was 10 years old?
Yes, approximately. Approximately.
The leaky refrigerator caused the floors to become buckled and have to be replaced. Let us assume for the moment that that's true. Why in the world would you think that it's the defendant's responsibility? That's number one. And number two, I assume the first people that you called were the company that you employed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. You called them and said, my floor's buckled because of the leaky refrigerator, and I want you to pay $3,700 to fix them. And what did the company say to you?
They said they're not liable.
That's absolutely right. That's what they said to you. What are you suing him for? You don't have any contract with him. You have a contract with the people who you pay. He's their agent. It would be like he was an employee of theirs, although I reach out to you. You don't sue him. You sue the company. You're going to lose. But if you want to sue somebody, what are you suing him for? You have no contract with him.
May I, Your Honor?
Oh, you can't?
I'm suing the company because it was negligence of the technician.
No. You sue the company, not the technician. You have no contract with the defendant.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okie dokie. You show me a paid bill that you paid to the defendant.
No, I don't have one.
Of course not, because your contract is with the owner of Worldwide Services, not him. You never paid him. You had no contract with him. He's the agent of the company. It was your negligence for not having homeowners insurance, which actually would have covered the damage to the floor. But you're suing the wrong person, Mr. Badian. Do you understand? I think you're a smart businessman. You're an IT guy. You understand exactly what I'm saying. You did your best. It was a shot in the dark. It didn't work.
I thought they were responsible because the technician came out 4 or 5 times. They couldn't stop the leak, and they didn't direct us.
That you pay, and you say, this was not a good technician. I want you to send somebody else.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Once they come out, and then we have to sign a paperwork from this company. Isn't that a contract that I signed with this company?
No, you never hired them and you never paid them. The first time they came out, the second time they came out, if they came out 5 times, you never paid them because you were covered by the company that you contract with. Goodbye. We're done here. Your case is dismissed.
Thank you very much. Concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy. After the reception.
A fraudulent wedding.
Deception.
He refused to sign the marriage certificate.
Why didn't you sign it?
Next Judge Judy.
They fixed it, but after a few days, it started leaking again.
He did very good job.
Well, I have to pay for it myself, I guess.
I believe it's right decision.
The virus sparked an idea.
When COVID struck, you decided to branch out on your own and have a mobile beauty salon.
Then she got in a tangle.
How did she defame you?
Book that I owed her $1,200.
You filed the restraining order against her because she threatened to put a gun to your head.
This is Judge Judy. Hairdresser Sean T. Jackson Washington is suing salon owner Lucretia Munns for defamation of character and loss of business.
Judge, this is case number 52 on the calendar in the matter of Jackson Washington versus Munns. Parties have been sworn in. The ladies can have a seat.
Thank you. Miss Washington, you're a hairdresser.
Yes.
And so is the defendant, correct?
Yes.
For some time, you rented a chair in the defendant's salon. When did you start renting a chair to do your work in her salon?
It was around a year and a half ago.
How much did you pay her? Did you pay her per week, per month?
$100 a week.
And Miss Munn, do you own the salon or do you lease it from someone else?
I own the business, but I lease the shopping center where my salon stands.
That's what it's your business, I understand that, but the premises is not a premises that you own, you lease it.
Correct.
How long have you leased the premises and from whom?
For 2 years from Jake's Plaza. The landlord's name is Abraham.
How much do you pay in rent?
$1,200.
And I assume you have a lawyer.
It goes month to month. It started month to month in April.
April of 2020, it started to go month to month. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Prior to the governor of California shutting down because of the pandemic, all beauty salons, was Miss Washington paying her $100 a week on a regular basis?
She sure was.
And the governor closed beauty salons in March.
March 19th, correct? Yes.
Very close to the time when your lease was up in the salon.
Yes.
And you were going month to month.
Correct.
Did you pay rent to Jake's Plaza for the salon in April of 2020?
I paid it in June for April. Yes.
That's not what I asked you. You did not pay it in April.
No, I did not pay it in April.
Did you pay rent to Jake's in May?
No, I did not pay it in May.
Then the governor allowed salons to open.
Correct. For 2 weeks.
Did you pay anything in June?
Yes.
How much?
$3,600.
Did the governor permit salons to remain open?
No. He shut them down 2 weeks later.
And that's after you had paid up your rent?
Correct.
Because you hadn't paid rent in April and May. She or Jake's Plaza was not going to let you.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. Now we're all set on that. Now, it is your claim that when COVID struck, you decided that it was a perfect opportunity for you to try to branch out on your own and have a mobile beauty salon.
Yes.
Very inventive, very smart. It is your claim that the defendant has a couple of items that you left behind in the salon when it was closed.
Not true.
Yes.
Some hair extensions.
Yes.
No, she didn't leave any extensions.
Yes. Now, did you have an opportunity to go into the salon and take your items? The answer is yes.
Yes.
And I assume that you had a lot of items there because you were working there.
I didn't have a lot of items. Basically, the things that I had was underneath my station.
And where were these extensions?
The extensions were in a bag that was under next to, inside of the salon.
Where?
They were next to a microwave that was in a cabinet underneath.
That's my hair. She's not telling the truth.
Just a second. You should have taken them. Do you have her hair extensions?
No, I do not. I sell hair.
Do you have hair extensions? No. You should have taken them when you left. Okay. The next part of your lawsuit is defamation of character.
Yes. Advertise your business. You have thousands of people who are your friends on Facebook, and whatever.
I don't have 1,000. Just a second. So listen to me. I know what Facebook is.
Okay.
I don't have 1,000 friends. That's why I'm not on Facebook. You know, it would get very lonely in there with the 1 or 2 people that like me and that I like. So I communicate with them on the phone. So you're lucky if you have thousands of people who watch you on Facebook. My question was a simple one. How did she defame you? What did she say, and in what venue did she say it?
She displayed on Facebook that I owed her $1,200 in booth rent.
Never.
And she had all these stylists and different people commenting. I have...
Just 1 second. May I see what you're complaining about?
Yes.
Because what she says is you owe her $1,200 in booth rent, and I would assume that that's booth rent after the governor had closed the salon and you were not paying rent.
No,
but after June, when you started to pay rent, and you did make up your rent. So I would, let me see, I have to do a Karnak. Anybody assume that these Facebook posts were made sometime after June?
Yes, they were actually made on the 13th of September.
Of September?
Yes.
Oh, she must have been very angry. Okay.
Yes.
May I see that, please? Yeah. Well, you know, just like you stiffed your landlord, she did the same to you. That's exactly what happened.
Judge Judy,
may I please see what you're complaining about?
Okay. This is her question on Facebook. And
okay, just a second. This question is for independent hair salons. Is that what you're complaining about, where she defamed you?
No, I have 18 pages.
Show me where she defamed you on Facebook.
These are all Facebook.
She rented out rooms. Where is your name in there?
She never said my name because she knew proper protocol on Facebook. However, I do have a witness here that read what she put on Facebook. She called me.
May I see your name anywhere?
She knew not to say my name, and she told her witnesses not to.
You have nothing. Let's get to your counterclaim. Ms. Munns, this is your counterclaim. You say that she filed a restraining order against you that had no basis.
No basis at all, Your Honor.
Miss Washington, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
Did you file a restraining order against her? The answer is yes.
Yes, because I have a Facebook.
Just a second. You say you filed the restraining order against her because she threatened to put a gun to your head.
Yes, she put.
That's what you say?
Yes.
Did she say that to you?
No,
personally?
She said it
or did
on
she
Facebook.
Write it somewhere? I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Speak the truth. If anyone thought they could sneak up on my husband, I'm pressing something upside the head. Okay, you felt threatened by that. Is that what you're telling me?
I felt threatened by everything that she said, from calling my husband and fake on Facebook.
Okay.
I have my witness here that read it on Facebook, and she knew, along with the 4 people on my voicemail, that she was talking about me. And my husband.
Miss Washington, we're finished with your lawsuit. I've dismissed that lawsuit.
All right.
Now I'm on her counterclaim. Her counterclaim is that you filed a false protective order against her. Your defense is that while she was careful on Facebook not to mention you by name, you believed she was talking about you when she threatened to put something against somebody's head.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, Ms. Munns, I'm going to deal with the part of your counterclaim that deals with filing a false restraining order. That's dismissed.
Why is that dismissed?
I'm going to explain it to you.
Okay.
Because the plaintiff believed that as a result of your Facebook posts, she believed that you were talking about her. Now, you probably were.
I was absolutely not.
And when there is a hint of a threat, which there was,
can I please
in
put
that
this up? Because
Facebook.
that is
no.
I'm literally.
I'm telling you, I read it. She felt threatened, reasonably so, because the other Facebook posts, while they don't mention her by name, you were referencing her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You didn't pay your rent when you were supposed to, and the only way you got back into your shop was to pay up the 2 months that you didn't pay. That's when you got angry and said to her, I want my rent.
And later today,
you ate the steak. You and your mother lived in a place and paid rent, and then you continued to live there and not pay rent. Why would you think you're entitled to the rent back?
hairdresser Sean T. Jackson Washington says salon owner Lucretia Munns defamed her on Facebook. Lucretia is countersuing for stolen and damaged property, rent, and loss of business.
Now, what property did she take without permission?
A human hair wig that she wore and used.
Okay, just a sec. Hey, tell me the things that she took without your permission. A wig, and what else?
And a blow dryer.
Do you have those things, Miss Washington?
Yes, I have them with me today.
You have the wig and the blow dryer.
Yes.
Give them to her.
We don't want...
Give them to her.
She's been personally wearing them. They're saturated. I can't resell them. That's saturated.
John, the last part of your counterclaim is for rent. For what period of time are you alleging that she owes you rent?
It's also for damages to the floor. She owes me
for what period of time
from
do you
April
allege she owes you rent?
Until she said that she was holding the chair until July.
That case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
What about the damage to my floor?
Did you pay rent in? Did you?
Yes, I did. And here's my canceled checks.
No.
Here's all my canceled checks.
Just a second.
I paid them all.
No.
I paid all the rent.
Yeah, Miss Munn, let's understand this. You didn't pay rent in April. You didn't pay rent in May.
It says right here, rent for July, May, and April. So I did pay it.
You're not getting over on me.
I'm not trying to get over on you. I'm trying to explain something to you.
Then you have to.
Can I please explain this to you? When we were shut down, we didn't have money to pay those bills. As soon as we got our pandemic relief to pay our bills, she was still responsible for her portion of the rent. She rents a space to run a business out of, just like at your house and your business. I paid it.
You know, I'm not a moderator. Cut off her mic. You didn't pay your rent when you were supposed to, and the only way you got back into your shop was to pay up the 2 months that you didn't pay, and then the governor to her, I want my rent. Goodbye. We're done. Finito.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
We were all supposed to pay our rent.
Jealous of what I got planned, my mobile hair salon.
I wish her the best in that.
She was paid, and she was trying to get money from me. She was trying to double dip.
At the end of the day, you have to fulfill your obligations as a salon independent contractor.
The friendship is done forever.
All parties in the matter of Taylor versus Wild, step to the podium, please.
Michael Taylor is suing his former landlord, Lucy Wild, for the return of rent and relocation costs after an illegal lockout.
Let me see if I understand this case. It seems, Mr. Taylor, that you and your mother moved into a premises as tenants in September of 2019, premises that was owned by the defendant. At the time you moved into that place, that area, you had, in fact, seen it. And it was, in fact, according to you, in a state of disrepair, needed a window. But you moved in anyway. And you lived there in September, and you paid rent.
Yes.
And how much rent did you pay?
It was $1,400 a month.
You paid $1,400 in October, $1,400 in November.
Yes.
And I assume that both you and your mother work in order to make this money.
My mother was not working at the time. I was working.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a bartender, waiter in the hospitality industry, and I also am a music producer, mix engineer, which I do freelance.
Okay. Then in December, you and your mother were still living there, but you did not pay rent.
No,
correct?
That's not true. I paid rent.
In December?
In December.
Now, at some point, you called some housing authority to register complaints about the house. When did you do that?
I made my complaint in December.
Okay. As a result of that complaint, the city where you live sent out an inspector.
Yes.
And after the inspection, the premises were found to be premises that should not be rented.
Correct.
Is that correct, Ms. Wild?
Yes, it is.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you are renting out an apartment and it's an illegal apartment, a court can't give you rent for that. Even though he ate the steak. And you know, I don't approve of eating the steak and then complaining.
Real cases, real people. Former landlord Lucy Wild owes for the return of rent and relocation costs after an illegal lockout. Lucy is countersuing for unpaid rent.
Okay. Does anybody have a photograph of where you were living?
I do have some pictures, yes.
Could I see it, please?
Sure.
You and your mother lived there. You evidently thought it was nice enough for you and your mother to live there. It looks like it's a sort of an attic-y loft kind of place.
Correct. It was.
Is that correct?
It was a loft.
Does it have a bathroom?
It does.
It does. Okay, very good. But they said she shouldn't have been renting it because it probably wasn't zoned. I mean, the place looks totally reasonable. Okay, so after that, you knew, Miss Wild, that you shouldn't be renting it, even though he and his mother were perfectly comfortable there, September, October, November, and December, because you stayed January, February, March, April, and May, and didn't pay rent, right?
I paid rent in January, and then I didn't pay rent in February and on, yeah.
Well, okay, so you paid rent in January. Why?
I didn't...
You liked it.
Well,
I did
like it. And
Great.
I paid rent.
So you liked it? Then why did you stop in February?
Because the city told me that it was an illegal unit and it was illegal for her to collect rent.
Now, you're suing because you want your money back then. You know what that means? If you go into a restaurant and you order a steak, and the steak comes out and you taste it, and you say, gee, this steak is terrible. I can't eat this steak. And you call the wait staff over, you're that business, and you say, I can't chew this steak. It feels like rubber. I'm sending it back. You are perfectly within your rights not to pay for it. Not if you eat the steak and then call over the wait staff and say, you know what, I ate that steak. I really didn't like it, and I'm not going to pay for it. You and your mother lived in a place, and while you were living there, you paid rent. And then you continued to live there and not pay rent. Why would you think you're entitled to the rent back? Had you ever rented that space before, Miss Wild?
Yes, one other time. That was news to me that it was not a registered rental when he...
And when you called the whatever housing authority you called, what was your complaint?
My complaint was that I was still missing the window because she hadn't installed the window. And, well, that was it. Because after months of trying to get them to do the work, I did research on habitability and tenant rights, and having an open window like that could be an issue and be deemed as an illegal unit. So that's that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you understand, Miss Wild, you have a countersuit, and your countersuit is for the time that Mr. Taylor and his mother lived there without paying rent. But you do understand, Miss Wild, that if you are renting out an apartment and it's an illegal apartment, for whatever reason, a court can't give you rent for that. You do understand that, right? That would be silly. I mean, if the state says you're not allowed to rent that apartment, and what your countersuit is for the rent that he didn't pay when he was living there, I can't do that, even though he ate the steak. And, you know, I don't approve of eating the steak and then complaining. Do you understand, Mr. Taylor?
I do,
Good.
Coming from the
Your
hospitality.
claim is dismissed, as is your countersuit. We're done. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy...
Her car was totaled. She ended up in the hospital the day of the accident. Was there insurance on it? If not, I'm going to make you look so ridiculous.
There was no insurance on it.
There was a reason why I called Housing Authority. It was because she hadn't done work for months that was making my house uninhabitable.
No, they had a gorgeous place. It was beautiful.
It was like living in a circus.
I think that's what they do.
I was due relocation costs because that's why I didn't move.
They're just squatters.
After making a mistake,
For 3 years, you've been accepting $944 from her.
landlords demand money.
Where do you expect her to get $16,000 from? She's a Section 8 housing person.
But the judge isn't moved by this mother-daughter team.
I assume you would say, Mom, that's the wrong rent.
English is not her first language.
Money is her secondary language.
This is Judge Judy. April Walsh and her mother, Mon Lynn, are suing Mon's former tenant, Maria Nunez, for unpaid rent.
Judge, this is case number 71 on the calendar in the matter of Walsh, Lynn versus Nunez. Parties have been sworn in.
Miss Walsh, are you going to speak for your mother?
Yes, I would. I'd like to try doing that.
Okay, because it is your claim that your mother, who owns some rental property, is owed money by the defendant, and you state in the
Yes, I assist. I'm more like an in-house counsel as needed. So when she needs assistance preparing evictions and so forth, I help her with that. But I don't necessarily, as far as the day-to-day, I don't do that.
So the answer is you do not manage the property for her, as you indicated in your complaint. You do not.
No.
Miss Lynn, how many properties do you own?
I have like 40 different properties.
Are they all single-family homes, or are they multiple dwellings?
Some is multiple. Some is individual and office building.
What kind of property did you rent to Miss Nunez?
It's a fourplex. It's in San Jose. It's a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath.
So 4 different apartments, Your Honor, in the same building.
She only rents one of them, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment.
1.5 bath, yeah.
You started to rent to her 3 years ago.
Yes.
In November 2018.
How long had you... Don't do that, Miss Walsh. Don't do that again. Do you understand?
Yes.
Back to Miss Lynn, please. 2-bedroom apartment. Do you own all 4 units in that building?
Yes.
Her apartment was leased to her through Section 8 housing. Are the other apartments in that building leased through Section 8 housing?
No.
They are not?
No, they are not.
The bedroom, 2-bath apartments.
The front one is a 3-bedroom, 2 baths. The 3 of the in the back is
just a second. The 3-bedroom apartment in the front, you have a tenant in that apartment?
Yes.
How much does that tenant pay in rent?
$3,500.
Now, the other 2 apartments, are they 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, or 3-bedroom?
They're 2-bedroom and 1.5 bath.
And they are currently rented?
Yes.
And what is the rent on each of those apartments?
$2,700.
Now, when you rented to Miss Nunez through Section 8, what was the amount of rent Section 8 was paying?
Section 8, they pay me $944.
Section 8 was paying you $944.
Yes.
And how much was Miss Nunez paying you?
Supposed to pay me $1,700.
No. Don't tell me what she was supposed to pay you.
Okay.
You collected rent from her in addition to the money that you got from Section 8. How much money did you collect from her every month, 2018, 19, and 20? How much money did you collect from her?
$944.
Now, you own 40 properties. That's what you told me, all over. Is this the first time you ever rented to anyone through Section 8 housing?
No, I have a...
No.
Yes.
So you know that Section 8 pays so much and the tenant pays so much. The first month that you collected rent from her, you collected $944, according to you. Who came up with the figure of $944?
When I go there, usually the tenants will show me the paper from the housing authority, because beginning she moved in, we have a walk through with the housing.
Then let me see. Now, let me see what paper you got from housing in 2018.
Yes.
So initially, and this is dated in 2018, this says estimated family rent to owner $1,756. Well, why didn't you collect that from her starting in 2018?
Your Honor, I was busy collect the other rent, and I didn't bring the paper with me. And I don't know how much it is. When I go there collect the rent, she gave me the $944, and I believe in her. She was paid $944.
Okay, so that's what this case is all about now, because now you say she owes you $16,000 after for 3 years you've been accepting $944 from her and $944 from Section 8. That's really your responsibility, not hers. Where do you accept? Which means she can't afford to pay her rent. You accepted $944. If you wanted her to pay $1,756, she would have moved out. Who lives with you? Miss Nunez, who lives with you?
At that time, when I first met my daughter and my 2 grandkids, grandfather is in and out of the house because he lives in Manteca.
I got it. I understand you have a sore throat. All right, now we're going to Miss Walsh. Miss Walsh, for 3 years, your mother collected $944 from the defendant and never made a demand for her to move or to be evicted. That was your job. I mean, you're the one that you say calls on you. You're an in-house counsel as needed. So I assume as in-house counsel, you would take a look at this and say in 2018, because she's been your mother for a long time, Mom, that's the wrong rent. That's the wrong rent.
I don't do that part of it, Your Honor. I'm as needed. So my mother does everything herself as far as signing the contract.
She's not going. Where do you expect her to get $16,000 from? She's a Section 8 housing person.
Yeah, I understand that is the amount of the claim, but I understand, Your Honor, because of filing in small claims, there's a jurisdictional limit, and we believe, so I think the most you can get is $5,000. So what I think is, since there's definitely negligence on the part of my mother as well, but she's elderly, you know, English is not her first language, so she doesn't have a portion.
Don't try to talk over me. Your mother owns 40 income-producing properties. English may not be her first language. Money is her secondary language. She's a very smart lady.
Yes.
She collected $944 from the state and $944 from the defendant. If your mother had said to you, she really is supposed to be paying more in 2018, the defendant would have moved because she's a Section 8 person. She accepted $944 from her tenant for 3 years.
If I may, Your Honor?
3 years.
I have a contract actually between the two of them, between plaintiff, my mother, and the defendant, which states the amount of rent total. If I may provide that.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. A contract.
I'm sorry. There are two operative contracts. My mother executed a contract with the defendant, and then housing came in. Like I said, I'm not exactly familiar, but housing also comes in, does an inspection, and indicates what the tenant amount is to pay.
All I'm telling you is your mother accepted for 3 years in satisfaction of rent from the defendant $944, 3 years for any more. What I'm telling you is I believe by accepting the $944 and lulling her into believing that that was the extent of her obligation, her daughter, who I understand is an attorney, is that right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right, Your Honor.
Who knows how to file an action to quit because for non-payment of rent. So clearly, if there was a mistake, it was a mistake by both parties. So I'm asking you this question. Where do you expect a Section 8 housing person to come up with $5,000 or $16,000?
I understand, Your Honor.
The answer is nowhere. When are you moving? Because now you know.
Yeah.
As of June, when she first came to you, then you knew for the first time that your obligation was different.
Right.
Now, in July, August, September, October, 4 months.
Right.
How much have you paid in rent?
I've paid, so my rent portion went down to $624, and I've been paying on.
Just a second. It went down to $624. What is she talking about, $624, Miss Lynn? What is she talking about?
Okay, the housing dropped the rent for her. Before I noticed, she told me her rent. She received the housing. She said the housing email to her. Her rent dropped. So I
just want to know how much rent have you received from her in total since June?
I got let go from my job.
June. Just a second.
I don't think I have that.
Since June, how much rent? June, July, August, September, and October, 5 months. How much have you accepted in rent from her in those 5 months?
So,
Ms. Walsh, you want to answer that question?
Yes, please. So, I'm sorry, Your Honor, you said which month?
Month of June. How much from the state, how much from the defendant in June?
Okay, in June was $944 from the defendant and $944 from the housing authority.
And you accepted it. In June, you accepted $944 and $944 from housing, and in June was the first time you told her she owed more money. That's according to your complaint. Let's go to July. How much did you accept in July?
So she accepted...
Come on, Ms. Walsh.
Okay.
July.
$944 from housing, $944 from the tenant. In addition, Your Honor, we also received $250, and that was acknowledgement of defendant that she did underpay Miss Lynn. So I do have that receipt.
August,
she paid 1,000. She paid.
I can't listen to both of you. Will somebody please tell me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
In June, when she was paying $944, Miss Walsh, coming back to you, you're the lawyer, did you bring on a proceeding to evict her?
No, because she agreed to make a payment.
In July,
And later today.
This is trash that was under the beds.
What did you expect him to move the bed?
This is trash that was around the beds, Your Honor.
There's something ridiculous about that. You should be embarrassed to show that to me.
April Walsh and her mother, Mon Lynn, claim Mon's former tenant, Maria Nunez, owes for back rent.
Now, I told you, money is your mother's second language. Now,
$1,756 for August. In addition,
from whom?
From the tenant. In addition, the defendant also paid $300 on top of that.
Plus $300, and how much did she receive from Section 8?
$944.
September.
In September, the rent changed per the Housing Authority. I do have the notice here, and her portion.
Just tell me how much she received. Just tell me how much your mother received is my question.
$624.
$624.
Period?
No. And from the total is $2,700. If you would like me to just.
But she is $22,000.
Her portion.
October.
The same amount, $2,700.
The housing pay me $2,076. The tenants pay me $624.
Did you move in June when she was paying $944? Housing was paying $944. Did you bring Miss Walsh, coming back to you, you're the lawyer, did you bring on a proceeding to evict her? The answer is either yes or no.
No, because she agreed to make a payment.
In July, in July, she paid you $944 from housing plus an additional $250. Did you move to evict her?
No.
No, because she was making.
Because she said she's gonna make a payment for me. She
wasn't. No, okay. She's not paying you any more money. Are you moving?
Fairly soon, yes, Your Honor.
When? Not very soon. When?
Well,
I mean, right now, they got $2,700 from you in October.
Sometime after Christmas, Your Honor. It's really hard right now to find a place. After Christmas.
That's fine.
Yes.
Right now, you're not doing badly. She's not paying you for the last 3 years. Goodbye.
Your Honor, may
you.
I just interject, please?
No. Bye.
But she knew that.
She stopped payment already.
I have documents that show she knew this beforehand.
She already want to pay me the
Goodbye.
When she moved in.
Very good tenant for 3 years. Made a lot of money. Goodbye.
Parties are excused.
We believe that she just took advantage of my mother.
I did not take advantage.
Definitely participate more in her business practice.
It does kind of, hurt me a little bit that she would think that I deliberately would do this to her.
All parties in the matter of Jennings versus Rambos. Approach the podium, please.
Giles Jennings is suing his former landlord, Melina Rambos, for wrongfully withholding a portion of his security deposit.
Mr. Jennings, you are suing for the return of your security deposit on an apartment that you rented from Miss Rambos.
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Rambos withheld part of your security, sending you only a small portion of it for 2 reasons. One, she said she had to pay a cleaning fee, and the next thing was she said she really gave you a break by not charging you for the whole month of June when you were actually out in June on the 15th, and you had a new tenant that moved in on the 22nd.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. So let's go back to some basics, Ms. Rambos. The defendant signed a 1-year lease with you, and he paid $1,850 for a fully furnished 1-bedroom apartment. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
He gave you a security deposit. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Correct.
He was a faithful tenant in paying his rent, and he left the apartment in very decent condition.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not causing any damage to the apartment.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you know how lucky you are? When you had a tenant who paid faithfully, he left the apartment clean. Your moving company found dust under the bed, and you say that he's responsible for that? You're ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Giles Jennings is suing his former landlord, Melina Rambos, for wrongfully withholding a portion of his security deposit.
Now, when you re-rented the apartment to the new tenant that moved in, did you rent the apartment furnished or unfurnished?
Unfurnished.
Which means that you had to hire A moving company. Did you hire a moving company?
Correct, Your Honor.
He moved out on the 15th. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you hire the moving company?
It was on the 17th, Your Honor.
2 days later.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they removed your living room, a bedroom, and a dining area, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on what date did you hire the cleaning?
Came early in the morning.
And your cleaning lady, your person,
yes,
came after the movers.
Correct.
Now, you kept some of his security deposit, you allege, for cleaning. I would like you to show me photographs of what you allege that he left in an unreasonable condition, allowing you to keep a penny of his security deposit. Show me a photograph.
Yes, Your Honor. This is trash that was under the beds.
That was under the bed?
Yes.
That you moved?
Yeah, but he lived
You have
there
to give him his whole...
But
what did you expect him to move the bed?
This is trash that was around the beds, Your Honor.
There's something ridiculous about that. You should be embarrassed to show that to me.
Well,
you should be embarrassed to show that to me.
Your Honor.
Embarrassed. You had moving people that came in. He cleaned the apartment. Your moving people moved 3 rooms of furniture. And you're showing me dust. You're not showing me a filthy sink. You're not showing me a filthy toilet. Let me see the rest.
This is from the bathtub.
Come on.
This
so
is
far,
only,
that's nonsense.
This is only some pictures. I didn't take pictures of the walls. But he did leave the apartment in a good...
What are you telling me? What you're not showing me? I just want to... What is that you're showing me?
This is the bathtub.
And what are you showing me on the bathtub?
There's dirt and some marks here.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, how much does she owe you for the days, sir? For the days from the 15th?
She owes me $586.59.
$586 for the days and the cleaning fee.
Well, the total with the cleaning fee is $686.59, ma'am.
Because she charged you half of the cleaning fee.
Yes. Or she
Is
charged
that
me a $100 cleaning fee. I don't know what the total cleaning fee was.
She said it was $200. She only charged you half. She shouldn't have charged you anything. Don't you realize, Mr. Rumbas, how lucky you are? In June of 2020, your apartment was really only vacant, and you weren't paid for maybe 4 days. He moved out on the 15th. You didn't get your stuff out of there till the 17th. The earliest the new people could have moved in is the 18th. They actually, according to you, moved in on the 22nd. Do you know how lucky you are? Now, when tenants aren't paying their rent, they're just staying there, paid faithfully throughout his entire lease, March, April, May, part of June. He left the apartment clean. Your moving company found dust under the bed, and you say that he's responsible for that? You're ridiculous. $686. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
We have to have evidence in order to connect the defendant to your dead dog.
I can't find that. Can I just state something?
You can't state anything. I want to see evidence.
Judge Judy.
There has to be a cleaning fee.
I got what I was owed, and that's all I was asked for.
You could have, cleaned a little bit more.
She did send me the little pile of dust that I was like, wow, okay.
Mr. Jennings was a great tenant, and I'm surprised that we had to come here.
I'm surprised that we had to go this